Hello and welcome back to episode 19 of ASG-Craft. Here we are on the outside of the Ocean Monument that has been a green grass city for a very, very long time. Normally we spend our episodes deep down in the industrial crater, under the ground, out of the sunlight, but today we're going to be taking a little bit of a detour outside to a project that I have been putting off for far too long. As you can clearly tell, green grass does not go with the aesthetic of a Blackstone Ocean Monument. This was just temporary at the time, and I knew I was going to be changing it from the very start. But yeah, I think it's time that we do get it changed. Now, this is going to be a big project, and it's going to involve a lot of terraforming once we actually get everything set up, which I am not strong at doing. So we're gonna have to just kind of bear with each other as I go through this learning process and see how quickly or slow. I'm hoping that it's gonna go quick, but it might not. Quickly or slow, this process is gonna go, because it could take. Yes, thank you, Mr. Camel. It could take very long. It could take very short. I really don't know what to expect. But the first thing we need to do is gonna be to separate this area out the way that I want it. So I'm gonna walk you guys through kind of my vision right now, and then from there we're gonna go ahead and get started. So this area is quite large, and I felt like it would probably run together if I did the same type of terraforming or the same type of terrain in it the whole way. So I'm gonna try an idea that I had. Now, if you think about the Nether, there are 4 different biomes that kind of stand out. There's technically 5, but there's really 4 that really stand out. There's the Crimson Forest, the Warped Forest, there is the Basalt Delta, and then there is the Soul Sand Valley, or the Soul Valleys, or I don't remember exactly what they're called. There's also the normal area that I don't remember quite what it's called at this moment, but it's got all the netherrack in it. But I feel like the other 4 are just kind of the key biomes that are kind of unique, and they have their own real like unique block palettes and everything. So I kind of want to separate this area up into 4 quadrants and kind of do a different type of terraforming on each corner to make it look different. So one corner will be the Crimson Forest, and the other corner maybe the Warped Forest. So I kind of want to do that, but I also don't want it to look too rigid. And what I mean by that is I don't want to just, come over here to the center of the circle and say, okay, this is the line in between the Crimson Forest and the Warp Forest or whatever. I kind of want to see if I can do this in a more natural way. And of course, I could just start terraforming and then change it and say, oh, I don't think that looks natural, or I do think that looks natural, and just kind of tweak it as I go. But I had an idea and I wanted to try it out. And this may be a complete and utter failure. And you guys will know in a couple of minutes once you see the time lapse pan out. But we're going to try it. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's an interesting idea. So the idea is that I'm going to take all of this grass and I'm going to rip it up, and I'm going to place the blocks down again as dirt. Now, dirt, if you place grass next to it, will eventually become grass. But another block that will spread onto dirt is this one right here, mycelium. So I kind of want to see if I can get the game to do the natural separation of these areas for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place all of these dirt blocks, and then I'm going to start in diagonal corners, and I'm going to put down mycelium blocks. And on the other diagonal corners, I'm going to put grass blocks, and I'm going to let them spread naturally. And grass and mycelium are supposed to spread at about the same speed. So I'm hoping that I get a pretty even distribution that's pretty close to a natural looking transition area around the middle. Now, granted, if the transition area kind of shifts to one side, I can always take that line and manually shift it over to be more centered. So it's not, one area really encroaching onto another. But I feel like just to get the natural boundaries between the areas, it could be fun to maybe let the game do it by itself. And this is not an exact science. These are supposed to spread at the same speed, but I really don't know if they're going to. It's all based on the game code, and to my knowledge, the code for the blocks is the same, but it is still random. So even though the grass and mycelium are both supposed to spread at the same speed, the mycelium might spread faster, the grass might spread faster, just based on the random ticks that happen in the game that cause the spreading of blocks. So this is going to be a big project, and I really don't know how it's going to work out, but I kind of hope that we're going to get some sort of natural looking transition between the areas. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into a time lapse. I'm going to rip out all this grass, replace it with dirt, and then we will go ahead and place the mycelium and grass blocks in the corner and just kind of hope for the best and see if we get a nice transition. So into the time lapse we go to dirtify this land. Let's go. Well, it looks like we might have a case of right idea, wrong execution. So the idea worked in the sense that it did make nice transitionary lines between the areas that looked pretty natural. But if you really looked at it, it was really far off center in some places, and it just didn't look too good. You had some places where the grass would be like all the way over here, but then in the same area, it was all the way over here. It just didn't look the way I thought it would. So I decided to retry it, but on a little lower scale. So what we did is I'm okay with anywhere in this range being part of a transitionary area. But before we had stuff coming all the way over here, and this underside looked kind of terrible because, you know, there was the grass was taking over this entire midsection, and it ended up touching in the middle. So the mycelium transition didn't look as smooth. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do it again, but we're gonna set it up this way where the transition area is solidified within this 8-block range. I'm gonna put dirt in here to start the process, but anywhere around this, like the width of this pillar and these 6 blocks, if grass makes it over to here, I'm okay with that. If mycelium makes it over to here, I'm okay with that. Or I guess over here and over here. So I'm more okay with that, and I feel like it's going to kind of localize the transition a little bit better, and we're not going to have issues where the transition between the two is going to end up like most of the way towards the next pillar. So it's going to kind of equalize it out while still giving it that natural look, and I'm kind of hoping that'll work out a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and place the dirt in, and we're going to see if this turns out a little bit better. Fingers crossed on this one. And here we go. Boop. All right, so we've let that part go ahead and run its course, and it actually worked out a lot better than the first round, which is what I had hoped for. Let's go ahead and show it off here. I also did the extra work of replacing the blocks once I was done with the type of blocks they're going to be for the future, but this is just a rough breakdown of each of the 4 biomes that I think we're going to try and go for this. So if you look at the transition areas between, I did have to do some by hand edits in here just to kind of make it look a little smoother, but for the most part, this was just natural, the way that these transition lines went. So I was really happy with that. So I just went ahead and kind of replaced the blocks and called it a day. So this is going to be the breakdown of the 4 areas. We've got the Crimson Nylium for the Crimson Forest, the Warped Nylium for the Warped Forest, the Basalt for the Basalt Delta, and the Soul Sand for the Soul Sand Valley. So we're going to do some, Crimson trees, some Nylium, some Warped trees here, some spires of Basalt in this corner, and lava, lots of lava over there. And then in this area, I think we're going to do some custom fossil structures, I think. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. This part in the middle here was custom. I made it so that kind of everything kind of feels like it comes in and does a little bit of a spiral. And then the center 4 blocks are one of each. And I kind of feel like that molded it together pretty well. So now all there is to do is to pick a biome and kind of just go for it. I think the easiest biomes to do are going to be the Warped and Crimson Forests, because I have my tree farm that'll help me get the tree items and stuff for that. So that's down here in the basement. The other easy one I think is going to be the Basalt Delta, because I got a basalt generator downstairs, but that'll take some time to farm it out. I think the most difficult is probably going to be the Soul Sand Valley, and mostly because there's not much in those besides just like fossils. And so I'm a little worried about being able to fill out this whole area with just fossils. I mean, once you get more than like 2 or 3 fossils, it kind of feels like it might be a little much. So we'll see how that goes. But to alleviate some of that, I do kind of want to make these biomes all a little custom so that they're not just like carbon copies of the Nether. So I'm going to try and see about making custom stuff to put in these. So I'm hoping that'll help fill out the Soul Sand Valley one. And also, it's going to be really hard because in these areas, I do want to show some elevation. I don't want it to be flat. It's going to be hard to show elevation without, getting too close to the building itself or riding up on the glass on the outside. So I got to be careful about that. So I think we're just going to go ahead and take one of these biomes and just kind of see what we can do with it as a start.
1 hour later.
Alrighty, before I show you what I've done up on the surface, I'm going to go ahead and show you this quick little farm I threw together for the Weeping and Twisted Vines. It's pretty simple. There's a mechanism in the wall that dispenses pulses rapidly to make the vines grow, and then the pistons just go off and break the vines, and they end up down in the chest. I made this farm because I thought I was going to need a lot of the vines, but kind of overestimated that. So these are just kind of chill here until I use them for more decoration. But for now, the farm exists. It was a little bit of overkill for the final product that I needed, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and head out to the surface and show you what I've been up to. So if we walk right out here and do a little flyby, you can see we're done with the Crimson area. I did a little bit of, I kind of wanted to get some elevation changes here, where I brought it up onto the pillars, and also there's a couple that have pits making the pillars look larger than they actually are. A lot of these pillars are not much deeper than the surface, but this kind of makes it seem like they are a little bit bigger, making them go down deep into the ground for structure. But we did all this terraforming ourselves, and yeah, I think it came out pretty nicely. Some natural growing trees. I might do some custom trees in the future, but for now, I'm just going to leave it as is. I did put a bunch of what are these? The weeping vines. I put these underneath here. They are all they're all the same length right now, because, well, they're going down to the ground, and they might get a little bit longer if there's a little extra room on the bottom. But I'm letting them grow out right now, but I do plan on going through and clipping these with shears so they don't grow. Same thing with any hanging from trees. Just going to kind of let them go, but I will be clipping them at some point so they don't just look all coming down to the same level of the ground. I wanted to put these on the underside of the base just to kind of make it look like it's overgrown and that the terrain has kind of started to take over the base itself. And I might incorporate some of these blocks, or at least some of the colors, more strongly into the build as we get to changing this base to be a more custom design. But for now, this is what the warped section looks like. And then if we fly on over here, we also did that's what the crimson section looks like. This is the warped section. So kind of same deal, very, very similar. A lot more of these vines are in this area because they go from the ground. So I don't just have to put them on the underside of these or on the underside of the trees. I can kind of put them wherever I want. So going to go ahead and do that. But yeah, I kind of like this. Let's get a little sky view, a little flyby. So that is the crimson section. I like the way it came out. Again, might do some custom trees. Same thing with the warped section. Might try to get a tall tree back here in the back, since all the trees that ended up back here are a little short. But I am going to go ahead and make sure I spawn proof this, but I kind of want to do the spawn proofing all at the same time. So I do need to go and gather more of the soul sand to be able to do the soul sand valley section. And also I think I need to run my mob farm to get more bones so I can make some fossils. So that is what's holding me up on this one. And then basalt, I just need to sit at my basalt generator for a while, and I haven't done that yet. So that is why these two sections are not done. And then I think also for the next episode, I'm going to swap out the glass. I've liked the white stained glass until this point, but now that we're kind of getting this area to look like the nether, I feel like it doesn't fit as well. So I think in the next episode, we're going to go ahead and change the color of all the beacon beams and the color of the glass to something that might fit a little bit more strongly. And I don't know if I'm going to do the color of the glass to kind of match the section that is near it. So, you know, I don't know if I'll do like a red here and then like a, I don't know, like a gray here for the, or well, I guess a brown would be for the soul sand, and then like a blue and then a gray. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to see what that looks like. I imagine that might look a little weird as stained glass in quarters. So I might just make it all like black if it's not too dark. But I think I'm going to change that out for next time. I've also left this area here. You'll notice this is not part of the crimson or the basalt area. I've left this open, and I want to share my vision with you guys so you kind of get what's going on. So right now, the only way to get into my base is with rockets, or to build a little staircase up. And that is kind of annoying and also not aesthetically pleasing. Of course, this used to be underwater, so you just swam through the entrance. So obviously, this is going to be a staircase at some point coming up to meet the entrance to be more aesthetic. You are slapping in my clip. Go away. So that is what that's going to be. That's why I left this open. This is going to be some sort of like walkway that leads up into the base, but I've left it blank right now because I haven't decided on the final palette of the base itself. Like I said, I do kind of want to make this custom in some way. I know I've already customized it with the Blackstone, but I kind of want to incorporate different types of blocks in here somehow. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but once I get this all, you know, kind of fixed up and swap out the blocks that I want to swap it out, give it some pops of color, it'll kind of give me a better idea of what I'm going to be using for the staircase and the walkway. And then eventually the big plan, I'm going to shoot you. You're in my way. Get out of here. The big plan that I'm going to do way down the road is I kind of want to take this glass and bust it out and kind of bring it up as a staircase up to the surface. So eventually what I think I want to happen is I want to have the glass starting maybe here, and then as you come into the glass, it's kind of like a bowl. It descends downward as a staircase of some kind, and then it ends in this walkway that'll then lead up to the base. And then to connect it, I might also, now there's a lot of water this way, I might also make a bridge of some kind, but that is a huge undertaking just because that is a lot of water in that direction. Had I been able to do it at the very beginning, I might have flipped the monument to go that way because there's a lot less water that way than there is that way, but it's also okay because right now this way is where my iron farm is, so that would get in the way. But the bridge would have come from there to just over here and kind of met up where my original base was. So that would have been easier on me, but I don't think I would have liked that as much. So the ultimate end goal is going to be that this staircase comes up, the glass breaks backward so that there's a nice staircase up and out of here. And then on the surface of the water, I do also want to have some sort of ring going around this to just kind of be a walkway. So there'll be a ring outside the glass and then a large bridge. But those are huge, huge down the road plans that I'm going to need to do once I figure out the full palette. So the base is probably going to be next after these two sections get filled out, and we'll be making small changes as well as we go, because like I said, custom trees, maybe I need to make sure these are spawn proofed areas. I don't want mobs spawning down here except for the slimes. I can't really do much about those. So still a lot of work to be done, but that is kind of my vision. So I think we've covered a lot of ground today. So I think I'm going to end it there. I thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you all for making it to the end. If you made it to the end, you are awesome, and I appreciate you for being here. If you are still here and you haven't already, please feel free to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. As usual, all of those things are free and they help me out very, very much. I thank you for being here, and I really do hope to see you in the next one, where we will be done with the other two sections of this outer portion, and we will hopefully, maybe, be moving on to the base. As always, thank you so much again for watching. It has been a good one, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.